Hi everybody, my name is Paula Shaw, and in this video I'm going to be discussing the major themes of the astrological transits for this lunar month, which begins at the new moon in Gemini coming up on the 17th or the 18th of July, depending where you are in the world. So, and if you enjoy watching my videos and you feel like you want to go a bit deeper with these themes, then join my Patreon community, because I am weaving together everything I share in these videos, plus I'm adding in and weaving in some more esoteric themes based on ancient knowledge, and creating rituals. So don't think of ritual as some weird, thing that only women do at full moon. It's actually an invitation for you to journey deeper within yourself. I know that everybody has access to the true knowledge within. Everybody has intuition, but your intuition will only be strong if you cultivate it and you journey with it. It's not some magical cosmic gift. And right now in the bigger patterns, there are new paradigms coming in. We are on the brink of stepping into a completely new way of operating as human beings. I don't know if it's happening this year or next year, but the powers that be, and I don't mean evil forces, I just mean people that are trying to control the narrative, are aware of this. And right now, they're really using these platforms to project a story out, to control the narrative. And if you don't ever connect within yourself and listen to your own intuition, we really can read between the lines. That is not a special gift for psychics. Like, everybody has this capacity. But if you never sit and listen, if you never go within, you won't be able to trust what your sense of reality is, and you'll just be gaslit, so to speak, by the people trying to control the narrative. There's a big agenda. There's multiple agendas right now, from aliens to AI to there's just so much going on. And so I love creating ritual because it's really a meditation. It's really an invitation to come back and learn something else about reality, rather than the narratives that are trying to be controlled and get you to think certain things. You've got to be strong in these times. You've got to listen to your own wisdom, and you've got to really take time out of the noise. And that's like the theme for this lunar month. Break the spell and control your own narrative. So you can't control the world out there. You can't control people's agendas. But you can control, or have a very strong sense of being able to be totally aware of how you experience what is going on in the field. You can control your own narrative. We're meaning-making machines, which again is why I'm so passionate about ritual, that direct experience of the knowledge, of the wisdom of yourself, of the meaning that's going to make sense to you. And this lunar month, which starts with the new moon in Gemini, and join my Patreon community, actually, that's why I'm talking about all of that, is because you can really start to experience something true within yourself and start to understand what your inner world, how it wants to emerge and meet these new narratives. Again, you'll only know that if you go within. It's so simple, but we aren't raised, most of us, to trust our inner sense of reality. We have to work at it. And ritual and meditation, of course, is great, but rituals where you're actually engaging with your own story. So check out my Patreon community. It starts at $8 Australian. That's the beginning tier, and then I have the bigger tier, which is really inviting people to journey with me into deeper esoteric themes, where I create ritual, meditations, so many tools there for you to really experience something within yourself. Even if you don't come into my world, I hope this inspires you to really think about what it means to sit with yourself, what it means to really try to listen to your own intuition, what it means to understand that there are agendas out there. There always are. And they're trying to hijack the new narratives right now to control it. But if you can stay strong and centered, you don't have to just wake up in a narrative that's not yours. And you can actually have some agency over what's happening. Again, we cannot control what's going on out there. And this is where last month, the Grand Cross, the big, the angsty energy is the only way, it's the word that keeps coming to my mind. That energy was really amplified throughout May, throughout the last lunar month. And I am curious what you guys experienced. I'd love to hear. First and foremost, I am a student of life, of astrology, of humans. I have sat with thousands of people, and I love to see how the patterns correlate. So please share with me. Write in the comments. You can email me. Like, I want to hear what you guys are experiencing, because it's one thing to read the textbooks, but it's a whole other thing to experience the knowledge, to go into an experiential state of the wisdom, which is the currency moving forwards. Data, information, we can all access it. But when is it that you actually embody that data, that knowledge, that wisdom? Again, ritual is a powerful way to do that. So the Grand Square, this Grand Cross, same thing. I felt it. And May, I'm really happy we're in June. May, with these bigger patterns, these bigger karmic activations, the amplification of the noise in the field. I really, when I looked at the forecast, I was worried that something really way worse would happen than what's happened. But what's happened, I think, is awful. There have been some world events that are just horrendous that have been playing out, which is this amplification of our collective karma. And right now, Pluto is back in Capricorn. I talked about that last lunar month. And this is a retracing over the steps. Pluto has some unfinished business with Capricorn. It's uncomfortable, and it will be in Capricorn until the end of the year, and it's in retrograde, so it's going back over. And for you personally, this could mean that Pluto is resurfacing some of the fears or the challenges in areas of your life that were really dominant since 2008. But don't worry, we're getting to revisit those areas and see that maybe you have actually conquered that fear. If you know your chart, look at the house that Pluto is dipping back into. What part of your chart is ruled by Capricorn? And you'll get a sense of the areas of your life. I will share a little bit about this in the horoscopes in my community if you're curious and you know your chart and you want to see how that could have been playing out. And to work with the full moon this month, which is in Capricorn, to take care and to really say enough of this fear. Pluto will force you to face your fears, but it's only so you can turn that into strength and wisdom and liberate those fears into your life force and your power, because fear, it traps your life force. It messes physically, biologically with your nervous system. Research is showing that the immune system is weak. I mean, most of it, you'll know this. So let's work with this Pluto cycle to revisit those areas and go, you know what, I've got this. I can really see it in my world, big time. So don't be afraid of this. Embrace it. But on the world stage, Pluto retrograde back into Capricorn is potentially going to really amplify the agendas that I was talking about before. These old conservative values trying to control the narrative on Earth. It will potentially, with regard to the symbology, it's actually probably going to look worse in the coming months out there. But as I will always say, break the spell. So I'm going to talk about why breaking the spell is part of it. That is to do with Saturn and Neptune turning retrograde in Pisces. But with this Pluto Capricorn piece, watch it. Just observe how much these old conservative power structures, top-down hierarchical structures, patriarchal structures, cultural ways of organizing society, watch it amplify. Potentially, I really feel that there's something to these cycles, which is why I want to hear from you guys. So this lunar month, we have Saturn turning retrograde in Pisces, like I said before, and Neptune. So Saturn, just as we go into the new moon in Gemini, Saturn will have just turned retrograde in Pisces. Now, Saturn is the planet of form and structure and traditionally rules over Capricorn. So we're going to see this dissolving, this unraveling on one hand. So it's really, the way I see it, it's like these old agendas are going to amplify because they can feel they're losing power. They're going to try to manipulate the narrative through social media because they can feel that they're losing grip. And this, like I said already, could get really, really ugly. This could get really intense out there. Neptune is the planet of spirituality and dissolving the illusion, and Neptune will also be retrograde in Pisces. So this is a double retrograde cycle throughout most of the rest of this year, while Pluto, again, is retrograde. So you can see this reversal, this going back over. Pisces, Neptune, Saturn, this is unraveling the illusion. This is like anybody trying to grasp at old narratives and to trick people. This astrology indicates that potentially it won't be able to stick. Like every time a story comes in to try to control the narrative, something will unravel it. So this is going to be an interesting rest of this year, guys, to observe those bigger dynamics in the field. But this is where I'm saying unraveling the spells for you at a personal level. This could be a time where any spells, any beliefs, myths, stories that you've inherited through your childhood, from your family, from your culture, your religion, that you just have never questioned, or you didn't even know how deeply wired or programmed you were. This is your time to unravel it. This is your time to get out of the illusion, the Maya, the story, samsara, and come back in to yourself. Again, seriously, ritual is one of the most powerful ways, because you're not only just trying to think a different story, you're engaging the senses by working in a focused way, listening to your inner world and checking out what the internal narrative is. If you never sit with, say, a full moon and feel into what you want to let go of, how do you even know what is going on within you? Unless you work with a therapist or you go and do a retreat, which all of these things are great, and ritual can be what weaves all of that together. So yes, there's these bigger agendas, unraveling the spells, facing your fears, see where you've already conquered something in your life. Whereas Pluto going back into Capricorn, don't be scared, be empowered. So there is some very cool other dynamics at play, thank goodness, which really suggests to me that even though these narratives will be trying to be controlled by forces that don't necessarily have our best interests at heart, there are some other dynamics at play, which is Jupiter will be sextile Saturn. This is a really positive, creative pattern in the sky, and I noticed it as being significant because of this Saturn going retrograde. So if you can tune into this and you see something in this that makes sense to you, you can work with this energy of unraveling the conditioning in the spells to connect with something deep within yourself that you want, that you really want to seed in and achieve. Jupiter and Saturn, when they come together in a positive way, Saturn is form Jupiter is expansion, inflation, positive energy. Let's do this. When you bring these two planets together positively, something can be created, something can manifest. So at the new moon in Gemini, I strongly recommend you sit with that time and look at what's coming up within you. What intentions, what new thought forms, what things do you still want to keep achieving, even though the world looks crazy out there and as though it's all falling apart or aliens are going to come and, invade us? Let go of the noise. Work with this energy. Work with the new moon in Gemini. Go beyond the duality. This new moon coming up in Gemini has the energy of seeing everything from a wider, zoomed out view, and just seeing how all of the moving parts move together and not just getting pulled into your phone or pulled into a YouTube, one view. Expand out. Let everything be softer in your view and allow something new to emerge within that space. See how all the dots connect. Gemini takes us beyond duality. Gemini wants you to understand that there are so many different dots connecting in every moment. And there is something about this new moon that's saying, look at it again, look at it from another angle, see something new, seed it in, activate the Jupiter sextile Saturn, know that you're conquering some of these fears, let go of the noise, and really keep moving forwards. Don't give up. There are forces out there trying to pull us backwards with these retrograde cycles in the coming months. But honestly, you can really work with awakening your inner wisdom, awakening agency within, and understanding these narratives. And like I keep saying, finding your own meaning in these times. And I don't mean making up a story. I mean stepping back at this new moon and going, no, what do I really want to believe? What do I really want to be? What do I really want to manifest, and work with it? And it's important because this new moon is in Gemini, and the ruling planet of Gemini is Mercury. And Mercury, there will be a Mercury cazimi this month on the 1st of July. And that's active a few days up to a week either side. But the exact moment, if you want the exact moment, because this is a really powerful time for magic, if you're one to really go deep with ritual and magic and setting intentions, you can find that in my snapshot on my website, soulfulguiding.com. I've got the exact times of the cazimi, but it's a time for magic. And this, with Mercury being the ruler of the new moon, whatever you seed in at the new moon will potentially get some power and some traction by the time we get to the cazimi just a couple of weeks later, just before the full moon. So you could sit again with what was coming up, or notice what was coming up and how did it get some energy going? What kind of traction was it getting? Let go of the noises, I'll keep saying. Let go of the crazy agendas and the people controlling narratives out there, and come back to your inner power. So, and the Jupiter and Saturn sextile will be impacting this cazimi. It is really potent, and it is a time where apparently our ancestors would work in ritual. I wasn't there, but this is what my research has uncovered. So working with that, work with the cazimi, seed in intentions, and then we get to the full moon in Capricorn that I mentioned a little bit before. And again, this full moon is significant because Pluto is back in Capricorn, and we are going back over those areas. So by the time we get to this full moon, you will potentially, because you're seeding in new intentions, yeah? So as you move your story forwards, you start moving your karma forwards, it will activate negative forces in the field. it's not, it's almost like it's a law. So as you're seeding in intentions, fears, internal obstacles will come up. Sometimes it's really loud. Sometimes it comes up in the form of other people outside of you. But most often what I've observed and experienced is it's my internal fears. And so by the time you get to the full moon, you can work at releasing that. And maybe, as I've spoken so much about in this video, you're realizing you've actually already conquered those fears. This full moon is going to be in the house that Pluto has been dredging up trauma and pain and liberating and resurrecting your power for the last nearly 20 years, since 2008. So it is not quite 20 years, but a long time. And so this is a really potent full moon in context of everything I've shared with you, of the Saturn, Neptune in Pisces. Let's unravel the story, the lies, the illusions, the agendas out there. Something wants to shift. So for you at a personal level, you enter into this full moon with a sense of, okay, I'm going to face that. I'm going to let go. This full moon in Capricorn coming up, and I'll do a separate video for this and I'll dive into these themes more deeply just before the full moon. This full moon in Capricorn has the energy of letting go of your addiction to material wealth, material gains. A big way that the bigger narrative controls all of us is through the story of money, survival, wealth. And I know I've talked a lot about living in excess and how to get out of that, and that a way to have full agency moving forwards is to let go of all excess, honestly, or the desire of having excess as a way to feel safe. This full moon is going to really push, where are you addicted to this concept of material gain? Because if you aren't striving for that, and again, I have to really make sure you guys know, I'm not talking about being poor or living on the street. I'm talking about excess, more than you need to live a quality life. If you're chasing that, and I'm not saying give up on going for more, go for more. If you're not living in a surplus way and you're not feeling abundant, go for it. Face your fears, let go, but stop chasing this excess. It is just a story to make us feel less, to be scared and to want more and to feel like we've never got enough. These bigger cycles over the rest of this year, it's either going to be that they unravel or they amplify, or it's probably both. And if you want to feel empowered, let go of that. This full moon is going to be, where are you, where are you hoarding? And it's not just money though. It's literally anything. It's thoughts, information, knowledge, work addiction, food, drugs, escapism. Saturn and Neptune retrograde in Pisces, you cannot escape reality anymore. It's not going to work. So this full moon has this power to just keep supporting us to unravel and dismantle old cultural beliefs, old stories, the myths that we've inherited from the previous generations. There's so much research out there, if you go looking, that suggests that we actually don't want the things we think we want. That people are wanting more connection in their work, for example. In their jobs, they want more connection and more contribution versus status and money. So this full moon, if you can unplug from that, you might see that you feel so much stronger, so much liberated. You've got more power, more life force, less fear, and you probably will end up being in an exchange with others, community, life, where you actually have more to give and you probably end up more abundant. The new moon in Gemini has this real energy this month of connect with community. Together we are better. I know it's a cliche, but geez, it's true. Know what your strengths are and align with others that have strengths that you don't. Together we're better. Again, this old narrative of survival of the fittest. It's unraveling, and it will keep unraveling this year. So yeah, I hope this helps you get a sense of this lunar month and how to work with the biggest cycles. And then I will share a deeper video on the new moon and the full moon. Again, if you want to journey with these themes and you're feeling it, come over to my Patreon and go into an experiential dive with these themes where I do share more ancient knowledge than what I'm sharing here. And you'll see what informs what I'm saying. And horoscopes, which I never thought I would do, but I'm doing these horoscopes because it's another tool for you to get more into your ritual space, your inner work, what is actually going on, and to feel agency, not control, but agency. Yeah, I'm going to seed this in. It's a spiritual practice. You don't have to follow me. I give tools and then you do the work. You connect with your inner world. And I know that is the only way forwards. And then you'll start to get more involved with truth. You know, the ancient texts say that we can experience reality accurately. Modern teachers, the ones that I respect and follow, they say the same thing. But it's in here, it's not out there. So this lunar month, it's going to be unraveling. But like I said, it's probably going to get louder. So come and journey over with my Patreon community, Patreon Soulful Guiding, or you can go to my website, soulfulguiding.com, or there'll be a link under this video. And if you want to stay in touch, I try to share more on Instagram based on these themes, just as we're going along. So I know this is a lot of info, but it does get broken down on the snapshot that I email. If you subscribe to my email, you can receive a written form of this where I explore these themes in a different way if you're better at, sitting there and reading. So if you're still listening, thank you. I will do a video later this week for the new moon. And yeah, I hope that you're all doing well and you're traveling well. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon.